Let's just dive right into this. Picture this. You've spent months, maybe even years, planning the absolute perfect international getaway. You finally arrive at the airport check-in counter, bags packed, just buzzing with excitement, only to be told, no, you can't board. Why? Because of one tiny, totally avoidable paperwork oversight that just cost you thousands of dollars and blew up your vacation before you even got through security. Traveling abroad is a dream for so many of us, but honestly, that dream can morph into a super stressful, wildly expensive nightmare if you aren't prepared. But hey, planning international travel really doesn't have to be a gamble. In this explainer, we're going to fix those exact blind spots.
I'll be your guide today. Here is our exact itinerary to demystify this whole process. We're covering 1. The reality of travel. 2. Mastering the visa process. 3. Booking flights without regret. 4. Avoiding major travel mistakes. And 5. Your final travel checklist. Let's get moving.
All right, Section 1, the reality of travel.
Because, look, going abroad doesn't have to be this insanely costly or confusing ordeal if you just know what to look out for. We're talking about those silent tripwires that catch out even the most experienced travelers. Like, imagine showing up at the airport feeling confident, right? Only to realize your passport expires in 3 months, but your destination strictly enforces a 6-month validity rule. Boom! Boarding denied instantly. These absolute nightmare scenarios, crushing visa rejections, massive financial losses from booking flights way too early, or just simple administrative goofs that spiral out of control, they happen literally every single day. Understanding what actually goes wrong behind the scenes is step number 1 to making sure your trip goes perfectly right.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, Mastering the Visa Process. This is Phase 1, the absolute gateway. Without a legally approved visa in your hand, you're not getting in. Simple as that. So let's unpack the standard toolkit you're going to need. Every country has its own quirks, sure, but most demand a really rigorous baseline. Valid international passport, proof of funds, a clear travel purpose, accommodation details, maybe some invitation letters or school docs. But listen, here's where so many people crash and burn. Proof of funds. It's not just about showing you have cash on the exact day you apply. Consulates are digging into your financial history. If you have a sudden, massive, totally unexplained deposit drop into your account the week before your interview, yeah, that's a giant red flag. To them, it looks like you just borrowed the cash to pass the check. Nuances exactly like this are what will literally make or break your application.
So, look at the clear contrast here between a successful applicant and someone who gets a giant rejected stamp. The smart approach? It's organized. You're completely honest, you follow every single instruction to the letter, and you apply early. On the flip side, guaranteed rejection comes from taking shortcuts. I cannot stress this enough. The absolute worst mistake you can make is using fake or edited documents. Just don't do it. Immigration officers are highly trained investigators, and they share biometric databases across borders. Slipping in a fake bank statement or a forged invitation letter, that doesn't just get you a quick rejection today, it can actually slap you with a permanent record and a 10-year ban across multiple allied countries. The stakes are crazy high here, so honesty really is your only option.
Right, on to Section 3, Booking Flights Without Regret.
Once your visa is actually in progress, we hit logistics, and this is the exact stage where unprepared travelers just bleed money. Think about this for a second. Should you book your flight before your visa is approved? It is so incredibly tempting, isn't it? You're scrolling late at night, you see a massive flash sale, and FOMO hits hard. You want to lock in that amazing deal right then and there. But listen to me, this is a severe psychological trap. If you book a non-refundable ticket too early, and your visa processing gets delayed, or worse, flat out rejected, you lose every single penny of that booking. Making financial gambles before the embassy has officially stamped your passport is easily one of the most heartbreaking yet common mistakes in travel.
So, how do we actually navigate this catch-22? It really comes down to the difference between chasing a quote-unquote cheap flight and securing a smart flight. If the embassy absolutely demands proof of onward travel for your application, don't risk thousands of dollars. Instead, use flight reservation services. You might know them as dummy tickets. These legitimately hold a seat for your visa requirements for just a tiny fee. And hey, when you do finally book for real, you've got to look beyond the rock-bottom price tag. A super cheap flight with a 45-minute layover in a massive, chaotic international airport? Yeah, that's a recipe for a missed connection. Or on the flip side, a grueling 40-hour journey with 4 layovers will leave you totally drained before the vacation even begins. You always want to balance comfort, reasonable connection times, and that final price.
Let's jump to Section 4, Avoiding Major Travel Mistakes.
Okay, so we've got the visa, we've booked the flight smartly. Now let's shine a light on those hidden pitfalls right before you leave and right when you land. Here's a quick checklist.
Step 1. Researching your destination's entry and customs rules. Did you know that bringing basic, everyday, over-the-counter cold medicine into countries like Japan or the UAE can actually get you detained? It's true, and ignorance of the law is never going to fly at the border. Step 2. Buy travel insurance. Relying on your domestic health plan is a massive gamble. They almost never cover an international medical evacuation, which, by the way, can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Step 3. Plan out your finances for those first few weeks so you aren't completely stranded if a foreign ATM randomly eats your card on day 1. And Step 4. Preparing for the final boss, immigration control.
Let's zoom in on that final hurdle for a second. The questions they ask usually seem super simple. Why are you traveling? Where will you stay? How long are you staying? But your spoken answers absolutely must confidently and exactly match the paperwork you submitted. Here's a perfect example of how an innocent off-the-cuff comment can cause deportation. Let's say you enter on a standard tourist visa, right? But you casually tell the border officer you're staying with your uncle to help out at his shop. Bam! To immigration, that instantly translates to illegal, undocumented work. You'll likely be detained, have your visa canceled, and be put on the absolute next flight home. You have to know your approved itinerary inside and out. No improvisation.
And that brings us to Section 5, your final travel checklist. Because honestly, if you can master what we've talked about, you completely transform what could be a deeply stressful ordeal into a remarkably smooth journey. And it really just boils down to this. Preparation is the key to a successful trip. An empowered, savvy traveler doesn't just cross their fingers and rely on luck. They rely on organization. By proactively protecting your money, ruthlessly double-checking your documents, and knowing your exact itinerary before you even step out your front door, you just completely eliminate the anxiety of international travel. When you put in that upfront work, the world literally opens up to you, completely headache-free.
If this explainer helped you spot a mistake you were just about to make, please hit that like button. Subscribe and share this with anyone you know who's planning a trip. You might literally save their vacation. And if you need some targeted professional support with your plans, you can visit Travul.org or give them a call at 070-5404-7448 today to start your journey the right way. Getting these details right is exactly what separates a total dream vacation from a complete border control nightmare. Because at the end of the day, the whole world is waiting for you, but are you truly prepared for the border?